So I was looking for something last night, and I came across some stuff I'd written back in late 2018, 2019, or almost 2019, so late 2018. And I was like, wow, I wrote that, and I vaguely remember writing it. It was just a bunch of thoughts that I had over years and researching stuff and things. And I was like thinking, well, man, why is there so much division among people, and what's going on here, and how do things work? So anyway, I came across like 8 pages. The last page I tore a piece out of. I didn't realize that I had stuff written on there, and I think I was making notes or something on something else. And so the 8 page is not finished, but anyways, I'm gonna read out this 8 pages of thoughts that I got on paper back in 2018. And you can, I don't know, you might be able to relate to it, or you might not. So anyway, here it goes. I can see if I can pick out my own print in there now. I got terrible hieroglyphics. So I called it, Why the Human Race is Divided. As long as there were humans on Earth, there has been conflict and war. It goes way back through the millennia, to the very start of time. One would think that as a human race, progress and accumulated knowledge, cultures would thrive and, peace flourish, right? Well, you'd think so. Well, here we are, 2018, soon to be 2019, well, 2024, 2025 now. We've managed to create artificial hearts, do complex life-saving surgeries, send probes to deep space, sent man to the moon, dived to the deepest part of the ocean, dominated Mount Everest. People's done that time and time again. Built virtual reality headsets that make you feel like you're actually in an alternate reality. Developed kick-ass batteries that can run houses and cars, and a fraction of the size that it used to be as traditional batteries. But with all the good we've created and potential to be the greatest, with all the technology available, with every piece of knowledge we have, we still haven't come close to bridging the gap between skin color, religion, politics, or status. As a human race, we are as divided as the Earth is to Orion's belt. Okay, turn the page. We're light years to travel to get even close to becoming a functional, productive, thriving community. Now I know some of you are going to say, wow, you're just pessimist. Don't bring everybody down. Don't be knocking progress. Just look around at all the good things we have. We did. We will continue to do so. And I'd have to agree with that. But we can be so much more advanced, progressive, and more importantly, in tune. In tune with nature, in tune with the universe. Heck, we could even be in tune with the whole multiverse. But first, we need to get in tune with ourselves. In order to get in tune with ourselves, we need to get in touch with ourselves. In order to get in touch with ourselves, we need to get over ourselves. In order to get over ourselves, we need to admit to ourselves that there's only one race, and that race is the human race. Okay, I know I lost some of you already, and that's to be expected. But the ones who are still with me also comprehend what I'm talking about, or want to know more, or just curious about my philosophy of life. And so with that, I will try to explain the best of my ability why we as a human race are perpetually divided, and what we can do to start fixing it and making things right. Let's start with skin color. Skin color is always associated with race. Race is always associated with certain stereotypes. Stereotypes always breed some form of anger. Anger always brings opposition, and opposition is usually the fuel to start conflict. Once conflict is has begun, it's usually at one point or another, it starts wars, usually at one point or another. A physical war or a mental war, or both. So we must ask, where did stereotypes begin? Well, if you were back in the time of open slavery, and you asked a person with black skin color what they thought of white men, they probably would have said, well, white devils, they're evil, they're malicious. And they would be just in saying that assumption, because that's all they knew at the time. If you ask the Irish, who were enslaved by the Europeans and put to work on ships and then taken away from their families to be sent overseas, what do you think of Europeans? They probably would have said the same thing. They're evil, they're manipulative, they're scum. They would be also just in that way of thinking. If you ask I can't pronounce this, but it's a indigenous tribe up here in BC. I can't pronounce it. Up to Skeena, what they thought of the Ida tribe up in the northwest, they too would probably be full of anger and have nothing good to say about them, because those two tribes or clans or indigenous bands, they call them bands, they were always warring with each other. So it's not just the white man coming in and stealing land and all this stuff and murdering and raping and whatever. The Haida did the same thing to other tribes. So they were in perpetual fighting also. I mean, I could go on giving you examples of hate and history, past and present, but my goal is not to educate you on history. I would like to bring to your attention that all these people have in common, that is fear, control, power, greed. These things are the ingredients that keep the human race divided. A select few in power, and to stall true progress and greatness. Let's talk about fear. How does one create fear? You could raid village, you could murder, you could rape, burn houses, or you could put out false info like stock market's going to crash. You better sell your shares cheap now. You could phone some random person pretending to be CRA or IRS and threaten to put them in jail if they don't pay some false debt. There are many more examples, but all the one thing in common, they create psychological trauma and physical trauma in some cases in people, and in most cases that's enough to control people. If you can control people, you have power over them to make them do almost anything. You want them to do almost anything you want them to do. Fear is a very powerful control mechanism. It has been proven over and over, continuous, to do so to this day. So I don't need to elaborate any further on fear. It is self-explanatory, basically. Let's talk about control. Where does control come from? Or more importantly, why is there a need for control? What makes some people want to control? And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm having trouble reading what I print here because it's terrible. It's like hieroglyphics. So bear with me. Someone else. Oh yeah, why would you need to control someone else so bad that it becomes a need for the controller? Well, if you look back into a person's lives, usually you will find avoid insecurity, abuse, or in some cases, the controller is just simply psychopathic or sociopathic, or both. Just plain crazy. A lot, but not all of these people gain or try to gain positions in places of authority. It's a great hiding place in plain sight. Some examples are Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Kim Jong, priests, doctors, police, teachers, dentists, football players, judges, and the list goes on. If you don't believe me, just Google priests and sexual abuse, or doctors and pedophilia, or police and cold-blooded murder, or teachers and underage sex. or football players and rape, or judges and false incarcerations, or dentists and molestation under sedation. No, it's not Joe Blow down the road that's most likely to commit a crime. It's people in power that feel they are above everyone else and that no consequences for their actions. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good, they're not all bad people. They're not all bad people. Some people want to help serve. They're truly in it because they feel it in their heart. Humanity in any way they can, and they want to help humanity whatever way they can. But unfortunately, positions of power have hierarchy structures and codes of conduct which it only takes a few higher ups or corrupt lower level agents of the state to control everyone else in between levels of status. It's referred to as compartmentalization, thin blue line, boys club, top secret, cosmic top secret, etc. These all create different statuses, and different statuses create division within the human psyche only. If you think you're less than another person, then you have given power to that person and allowed yourself to believe that you're less than that person. Let's summarize and briefly talk a little about religion, politics, skin color, and status. So we know that fear, control, power, and greed are the main tools used to divide and keep the human race divided indefinitely. Religions cause wars all the time because fundamental extremists think their religion is the only one and it's the only right one. Religion and their way, it's the only one. I already said that. And it's not to be questioned. That's the big thing. No, mine is the only right way and don't question it. Religion puts fear into people through threats of going to hell, purgatory, or the opposite of that, which is you will be rewarded in heaven with 72 virgins or whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is plain craziness. But you can't argue with stupid. Some people are just, I don't know, in my opinion, just plain stupid. Some people, they want to learn. Some people, no, they're just blind. Politics controls people into voting for someone who promises to do good if elected, because if you vote for the other guy, you're going to pay higher taxes. New laws will be introduced that will take away your rights, etc. But the reality of voting is it just enables more control, fear, power, and greed. Because every 4 years you put an X on a piece of paper, and trusting someone to look out for you and always screws you over in some way or another and becomes a lesser evil. And that's where I tore it up, and I don't know what's the rest. But anyway, if you like that, I don't know, I might continue writing. Anyway, thanks for listening.